Alright, what's up guys? New deck profile today. Today we are doing Harpies. I'm very excited for this deck profile because multiple things have happened that are very positive for this archetype, which is number one, Cyber/Harpie has come out. It's a very good card. It's a synchro that's extremely easy to summon in the Harpie archetype because you can treat any Harpie monster as a tuner. In addition to that, we've had Harpie's Feather Duster come off the ban list, and we've had a few different just generic wind support cards that have come out, like the Wind Charmer. Win the Wind Charmer, which is extremely useful, and I'm sure the other cards, and the Awakening card, which is really good. But basically, a lot of positive things have happened for Harpies overall. So let's get started. First of all, we play 2 copies of Cyber Harpie. Cyber Harpie is basically, it always is treated as a Harpie lady, whether it's in the deck or in basically anywhere. It's always treated as a Harpie lady. If you wanted to, you could replace this with a copy of, you can replace this with like a Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady 1, 2, or 3. But basically, you can only run 3 cards that say they are always treated as a Harpie Lady. But yeah, this is what you basically will summon off of Elegant Egotist, which you still do use because it is almost always a free summon. Next we play 1 copy of Harpie Lady Sisters. I just see that there is still benefit to having Harpie Lady Sisters because a lot of cards have additional effects if you use it with a level 5 or higher Harpie. So I do play the Harpie Lady Sisters. In addition to this, it's just another, it's nice to have like 2 Harpie Ladies and then 1 Harpie Lady Sisters. It's just for some variety of plays. I'd rather have, I mean, you could always replace it with another Harpie Lady if you wanted to get rid of this, but I actually, it is pretty good because it does get additional searches off of various cards. But let's get to the next card. 3 copies of Harpie Perfumer. This card again is very, very good. So on normal summon or special summon, this card allows you to search either search a card that says Harpie Lady Sisters in its text, which is a whole lot of cards actually. It helps you search like Elegant Egotist and Harpie's Hunting Ground and a few other cards in the archetype. Alluring Mirror Split, Harpie's Feather Rest. It helps you search a good variety of cards there. But what I really like about this card is that if you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, you can actually search 2 cards, which is really awesome. Because if you have like Cyber/Harpie, which is the new card, just by having this on the field, you get to search 2 Harpie cards, which is super duper cool, super awesome. Next, we play another really good starter card, which is 3 copies of Harpie's Chandler. Harpie's Chandler basically allows you to discard any Harpie card, and a lot of Harpie cards actually have graveyard effects, which is cool. But you can discard any Harpie card, and then you can summon a Harpie from your deck in defense mode, and its effects aren't negated or anything like that. So you can actually discard a Harpie card and then summon Harpie Perfumer, which is super cool. And then you can search because it searches on normal or special summon, so it's really useful for that. We play 1 copy of Harpie Queen. You discard this to search Harpie Hunting Ground, which is basically a field spell that pops spells and trap cards, and it boosts the attack of your Harpies. Then we play 2 copies of Harpie Harpist. This card basically on normal or special summon allows you to bounce your opponent's monster and your Harpie back to your hand. That's one effect. It can come up. It does target, but it does come up sometimes. Its second effect is actually the better effect, which is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, during the end phase you can search a Harpie monster, which is extremely useful because you can send it off of Harpist and you basically get to regain your resources. Harpist is really, really good with Chandler because, like, let's say you activate Chandler, you discard Harpist, and then you special summon the Perfumer. You basically get a +1 by special summoning Perfumer, and during the end phase you get a +2 because you get to search off of Harpist. Like, this deck isn't the fastest deck in the world, but it actually does go plus, and if you go into a grind game, this deck will almost always win because it can pop all of your opponent's spawn trap cards, and on top of being able to do that, it really does search during your opponent's turn and during your turn multiple times. It's actually a very, very consistent deck in that way. It really does go plus very easily. So we play 2 of that. We play 1 copy of Harpie Oracle. This card basically lets you special summon itself from the hand if you have a level 5 or higher Harpie monster on your side of the field. In addition to that, when this card is normal or special summon, you can add a spell trap card that lists Harpie Lady Sisters in its text from your graveyard back to your hand, which is again very useful because you can sort of reuse things over and over and over. Next, this is the stuff I really like. All right, play 3 copies of Wind Witch Ice Spell, which is this is a part of the Wind Witch engine. 3 Wind Witch Ice Spell, 3 copies of Wind Witch Glass Spell, and 1 copy of Wind Witch Snow Bell. This is the stuff that I really like in the deck. It makes it the reason you play the Wind Witches, and I actually will do a combo right after this just to show you why. The reason you play the Wind Witches is because 1 Wind Witch Ice Spell will actually help you summon a Cyber Harpie Lady just off of 1 Ice Spell, and you don't waste your normal summon, and you inflict 500 life points to your opponent, and you put a Wind Pegasus in graveyard that gives you additional protection. Also, the Harpie Lady that you summon off of this can't be destroyed by card effects. So off of 1 Ice Spell, you go super duper plus, and on top of that, there's actually a whole different play that you can do with the Wind Witches, which I will show you right after this. Next, we play 2 copies of the Wind Charmer. You can actually boost this up to 3. So this card is actually really good because you can discard itself and another wind monster, and then you can search any wind monster that has 1500 or less defense. So that is a really good effect because this will actually allow you to search one of the most important starters in our deck, which is the Wind Witch Ice Spell, which again does not waste our normal summon. But this lets you search the Wind Witch Ice Spell, but it also lets you search basically any of the small Harpie monsters like Chandler or Perfumer or Oracle or any of these other ones that I've mentioned. And again, if you discard, if you send Harpist to the graveyard off of the wind, you get to basically draw, you basically get to add at the end of your turn, so it's almost like the cost never even happened. But yeah, I like this card a lot. It's really, really good. When I was testing it, I was actually playing it at 3, but I actually do not have a 3rd copy. So at the moment, I'm playing the 2, but if I did have a 3rd copy, I would definitely be playing 3 copies. Next, we play 1 copy of Tempest. This is basically just a free summon. I used to even play Dragon's Ravine and all of that, but honestly, I don't think it's worth playing Romulus and Dragon's Ravine in your deck just to send this 1 monster. Because if you draw this monster, it's like, you can't even send it. And then you basically have a dead card because the Dragon's Ravine becomes a dead card. The Romulus becomes a useless card in your extra deck. So I just play this one instead of running the Dragon's Ravine and the Romulus. Next, we play 1 copy of Awakening of the Possessed. So this card is extremely interesting. This is what I was talking about. So this is a alternation that you can make in the Wind Witch combo, because the Wind Witch combo in itself enables this card to summon itself. But yeah, this card actually helps going second and going first. So basically what this card allows you to do is if you control a spellcaster and a wind monster, you can special summon this card from the deck, which is really cool. Not a lot of cards can special summon themselves from the deck, but this card you can actually special summon to the field from your deck by sending the wind monster and that spellcaster monster. And of course the wind witches are spellcasters, which helps, and then you can send stuff like Harpist to the graveyard and get additional effects, but that's besides the point. Basically it special summons itself from the deck. On top of that, when it hits the field, it can bounce an opponent's monster to the hand, which is again pretty useful. And then on top of that, if this card leaves the field, you can search a spiritual wind art card, which is this one here, which is the Spiritual Wind Art Miyabi, which is actually a really, really good interruption card. So it's a pretty cool play that you can make turn 1. But that is it right there. And then for our last card, we play the Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. You can summon this off of... You can search that off of Harpist, but in addition to that, you can actually summon it off of the Samoric Bird of Sovereignty if you wanted to. Either way, yeah, this card comes up very, very much. You special summon a lot more in the pure version of this deck because of just all of the various extenders. You definitely special summon a lot. You can easily summon the Barrier Statue of Stormwinds without a lot of difficulty. And next, the spells. We play 1 copy of Harpie's Feather Duster. This card is searchable through 2 ways. It's searchable through the destruction of a Hysteric Sign, which you can just destroy yourself, and then just search 3 Harpie cards at the end phase. Or you can also search it with Harpie's Feather Storm. Basically, if Harpie's Feather Storm gets destroyed, you can search out a Harpies Feather Duster. So either way, you can search it fairly easily. I'm very excited about being able to play. Like I said, it's been, what is it, 17 years since this card has come off the ban list. It's terrific. So yeah, we get to finally play it in Harpies, the deck it was somewhat intended to be played in. Next, we play one copy of Alluring Mirror Split. This card is another very good one. Actually, there's a lost art out I should probably have. I don't even know why I don't have it. But basically, what this card allows you to do is if one of your Harpies is destroyed by battle, you get to special summon an additional Harpie from your deck, which is really cool, because sometimes you can even crash and summon like Perfumer and then search, which is really cool. And if you have a level 5 or higher, you get to search 2. Like, it helps you, like I said, it helps you switch out monsters, fill the graveyard, all types of cool stuff like that. On top of that, if this card is destroyed by one of your own, if this card is destroyed by your own Harpie effects, you can special summon any Harpie monster from the graveyard. And again, it's any Harpie monster, so it can even be the slash Harpie, which is pretty cool. Next, we play one copy of Harpie's Feather Rest. I used to play more of this, but you really don't need to, because this is basically like a pot of avarice. It's a searchable pot of avarice, basically, is what it is. But basically, you can target Harpie ladies in your graveyard and Harpie lady sisters, and then shuffle them back into your deck, and then draw one card. And if you control a Harpie monster that's level 5 or higher, then you get to draw 2 cards, which again, pretty easy to enable with the Cyber Harpie. So a lot of times now you will draw 2 cards just by shuffling 3 cards back into your deck. Next, we play 2 copies of Elegant Egotist. Basically, if you control a Harpie, you can special summon. If you control a Harpie lady, you can special summon any. You can special summon a Harpie lady or a Harpie lady sisters from your deck. But just keep in mind, Harpie lady in your deck is really only the Cyber Harpie and the Harpie lady sisters. These are the only 3 cards you can summon, because the rest of the Harpies are only Harpies on the field and in the graveyard, and not in your deck. Next, we play 3 copies of Hysteric Sign. One of the best cards also in the deck. Basically, on activation, it searches the Elegant Egotist, but in addition to that, it allows you to, if this card is destroyed during a different turn than it was activated, you can search up to 3. You can search up to 3 Harpie cards from your deck, which is just it's disgusting, like how many cards you actually get to search. And one of the Harpie cards that you can search is the Harpie Feather Storm. Sometimes what you can do is, like, let's say you have enough resources and you don't want to activate the effect. Like, you don't need to search any Elegant Egotist. You can actually set this face down, and then you can pop your own card, and then during the end phase you'll be able to search. And what you can end up searching is a Harpie's Feather Storm, which is one of the best interruptions on your opponent's turn that is available in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, you can easily do that. Next, we play 1 copy of Harpie's Hunting Ground. This card gives all Harpies 200 attack, which is, all Winged Beast monsters actually 200 attack, which is okay. But on top of that, when a Harpie lady or Harpie lady sister is normal or special summon, you get to pop a Spawn Trap card on the field. And it's not you get to, you have to pop a Spawn Trap card on the field. So you can pop your own Spawn Trap cards to get really cool effects. But on top of that, you can pop your opponent's Spawn Trap cards, which will, be very useful. This deck is very good against back row decks. It wrecks things like Altergeist and all types of back row decks. It's very hard for them to play through so much destruction. You leave this on the field, and every time you normal or special summon, you get to basically pop a card for free over and over and over and over and over. So definitely, this is a very good one. Next, we play 1 copy of Icarus Attack. When I see it, I see it. I like to have it for sure. 2 copies of Spiritual Wind Dart. This card basically, you tribute any wind and then target a monster your opponent controls and put it at the bottom of the deck. One of the best ways of removal, because they are never getting that monster back again unless they search it. But it's a really good way of removal, and it's basically, I'll show you off of 1 card combo. You can get this to your hand without even wasting your normal summon. Next, we play 3 copies of the Harpie's Feather Storm. This is a really good card. It's hard to pinpoint which card is the actual best in the deck. It's either this or Perfumer, but this card is really good. So basically, if you control a Winged Beast monster, you can activate this card, and then all of your opponent's activated effects for the rest of the turn are negated, which is just absolutely nuts already, right? On top of that, if you control a Harpie lady, you can activate this card, or not even a Harpie lady, if you control a Harpie monster, you can activate this card from your hand. Meaning, like, let's say you normal summon, let's say you normal summon a copy of Perfumer and your opponent activates Ash Blossom, you can chain the Harpie's Featherstorm and negate that Ash Blossom you can negate that Ash Blossom, and then your search will go through, which is just super crazy because it's actually like a copy of it's like a Call by the Grave, and on top of a Call by the Grave, it's like a skill drain on your opponent's turn, and on top of that, it actually stops them from activating the effects in the hand, graveyard, banish pile, deck, field. It stops activated effects everywhere. Like, this card is so sick, and you can activate it during your turn because it is a trap card just by controlling a Harpie. So it's like a Call by the Grave on top of just completely stunning your opponent for an entire turn. And on top of all of that, if this card is destroyed while it's set, it lets you search a Harpie's Feather Duster from your deck to your hand, obviously. But yeah, this card is absolutely sick. Like, it probably is the best card in the whole archetype. But yeah, it's very, very good. It guarantees you stunning your opponent for one turn because they'll have no monster effects, and on top of that, like I said, it can help you play through hand traps every single time, because it is like an additional Call by the Grave. Next, last two cards, we play 2 copies of Hysteric Sign. Basically, you discard a card and then you can special summon as many Harpie lady monsters from your graveyard as possible, which is really cool. Like I said, and none of the effects are negated. So, like, since none of the effects are negated, you can summon stuff like Oracle and you get to search. I mean, you get to add from graveyard. You can summon stuff like Perfumer and you get to search. And on top of that, you can summon the regular Harpies. You can summon Harpist, and then you can get rid of it and then search again. I mean, this card is really good because it basically allows you to summon a ton from the graveyard very easily. Now, let's move on to the extra deck. Extra deck, very exciting, right? Let me move these out of the way, finally. Basically, we play 2 copies of Harpie or Cyber / Harpie. This card is actually pretty good. So, it's very easy to summon because all you need is a level 4. All you need is a Harpie and any other monster, and you get to special summon this. Already pretty cool. And on top of that, when a spell or trap card is activated, you can bounce a monster your opponent controls. You bounce a card your opponent controls back to the hand, or you can bounce a Harpie you control back to the hand. Pretty useful. Next, we play 1 copy Wind Witch Winterbell. This is basically you basically synchro climb with the Wind Witches, and this is one of the options that you can play for the level 7. We also have the Clearwing Fast Dragon. This card is basically like it negates a monster effect, which is pretty cool. Play the Wind Pegasus Ignister. This one has a graveyard effect where if a card on your side of the field is destroyed, you can banish this from the graveyard and then target a card your opponent controls and then shuffle it back into the deck. Which is pretty useful there. 1 copy of Clearwing Synchro Dragon helps you get over larger monsters. 1 copy of Adamancipator Risen Raptite. This card, I'll show you in the combo why this one actually comes up. 1 copy of High Speed Roy Chambara. This one, it won't show up in the combo, but basically you can, if you have Wind Witch Snowbell, you can special summon it if you have 2 or more wind monsters on the field. So you basically special summon it for free and then use any Harpie and that wind and that Snowbell in order to special summon Chambara. Chambara gets to attack twice during the battle phase and it gains 200 attack every time it attacks. So pretty useful there. 1 Crystal Wing. You can go into this extremely easily in the deck. 1 copy of Stardust Dragon, again fairly easily with the Wind Witches. We play 1 Lightning Chidori. Which again, it's just pretty useful card. On summon, it lets you target a set card, shuffle it back into the deck, or is it placed on the bottom? It's placed on the bottom of the deck, and then on top of that, you can detach a material and target a face-up monster your opponent controls and return that target to the top of the deck. So it basically shuffles away 2 cards, pretty useful. Great Fly gives you a nice boost of 500 and adds things back. Wind, the Wind Charmer, useful again. The Harpie Conductor, this is actually pretty important. It is a Harpie Link monster, which is pretty important because sometimes you can go into it and then you can pop additional cards through the field spell. And then we play 1 copy of Samoric Bird of Sovereignty, which during the end phase can basically special summon any Wing Beast monster, which is essentially our entire deck, to the field. Very useful. So let me show you a few different combos. Let's see. Ooh, zoomed out. Should have zoomed in. I think that should be... I don't want to have to cut, so I'm going to just try to do my best here to show you some of the combos. So why we play the Wind Witches in here. The Wind Witches are extremely good because they're a one-card combo. Basically, if you have a copy of Wind Witch Ice Bell or a copy of the Wind Charmer and any other wind monster, you can basically get to this card. So you essentially, in this particular build, five copies of this. If you play an additional wind, you can have 6 copies. So basically what this card allows you to do is special summon itself if you control no monsters. So easy enough, you special summon it. When this gets special summoned, you can special summon a Wind Witch monster from your deck. So we're going to special summon the Glass Bell. Now when we special summon the Glass Bell, it allows you to add a Wind Witch monster on normal or special summon to your hand. And every one of them locks you into something new. Some of them lock you into wind monsters. This last one, Snowbell, locks you into level 5 or higher synchro monsters. So be careful with this one. Sometimes you don't want to use it. But basically, yes. Now, what this allows you to do is if you control 2 or more wind monsters, you can special summon this to the field for free. Now, from here on in, you can synchro summon. It's pretty easy. You can synchro summon the Wind Witch Glass Bell and Winter Bell. You can summon the Ignister. You can summon the Crystal Wing, Synchro Dragon to help you get over bigger monsters, the Clear Wing to negate a card, or the Wind Witch Winter Bell in order to inflict damage. By the way, this inflicted 500 life points too, so it might come in handy in time or something like that. But I usually go with the Wind Pegasus at Ignister because it has a graveyard effect, so if you're going first, it's very good. So you synchro these 2 away, summon the Wind Pegasus at Ignister, and then you can synchro these, which is a level 1 tuner and a level 7 synchro. Synchro these away, and then you can go into any number of monsters. You can go into Stardust, the Crystal Wing, or the Cyber/Harpie. And whatever monster you summon off of the Snowbell cannot be destroyed by card effects. So you can summon a Crystal Wing that cannot be destroyed by card effects and has a monster negate, or you can summon the Cyber/Harpie to your side of the field. So basically, that Wind Witch Glass Bell the one single Wind Witch Ice Bell basically allows you to go right into a Cyber/Harpie, and it also puts wind monsters in your graveyard in addition to the Wind Pegasus, because Wind Pegasus, basically, like I said, you can, when a card on your side of the field is destroyed, you can banish it from the graveyard and then shuffle away one of your opponent's cards. But on top of that, we summon that basically off of one card, and we didn't waste our normal summon. So let's say, for example, we did have a copy of, and it helps to have that on the field because now stuff like Elegant Egotist is live, and more importantly, we have the Harpie Perfumer, which now, let's say our hand was the Wind Witch and a Harpie Perfumer, like nothing else, just that. Summoning this didn't waste our normal summon at all. We can normal summon the Perfumer, activate the effect. Since this Cyber Harpie is level 5 or higher, we actually get to search 2 cards. So we can search, for example, like an Elegant Egotist, which will give us another monster, and for example, like an Alluring Mirror Split. So we get to basically go off of those cards super duper plus. On top of that, we fill our graveyards, which is really nice there. But let me show you a different combo that you can do with the Wind Witches. So let's say, again, we start with just the Ice Bell. We're going to special summon the Ice Bell because we control no monsters. We get to special summon the Glass Bell. Glass Bell will allow us to search the Snow Bell and then inflict 500 life points. So now what we can do is, since we control a wind and a spellcaster, or a spellcaster and a wind, either way, we can actually send them both to the graveyard. We can send them both to the graveyard. Let me see, not yet. I'll special summon the Snowbell first. So now that we have the spellcasters and the wind and everything we need on our side of the field, we can send the Wind Witch Glass Bell and the Wind Witch Ice Bell to the graveyard in order to special summon the Awakening of the Possessed monster to our side of the field. When this hits the field, we can actually bounce a card to our opponent's hand, which we can do right then and there. Well, let's say we're going first. What we can do is we can actually synchro these two away, the Snowbell and the Awakening monster, in order to special summon a copy of the Raptite. And then on top of that, when the Awakening goes to the graveyard, we get to search a copy of Spiritual Wind Art Miyabi. So just off of that, just again off of one card, what we were able to have is two different interruptions, because this just requires you to have a wind in the graveyard, and you have a quick effect to banish an opponent's monster from their graveyard, or opponent's card from the graveyard, which can actually be very, very useful. Because if they activate something like Monster Reborn, for example, or they have to activate a graveyard effect, you can actually quick effect banish their card. On top of that, you get to search the Spiritual Wind Art, which by tributing a wind monster, you can actually put any monster on your opponent's side of the field, any card on your opponent's side of the field, back to the bottom of the deck. So either way, it's very, very useful. Like I said, this is all off of one card, so that's why I think these winds are actually, the Wind Witches are actually very useful in the newest, this kind of variant in the deck, because you either get a Cyber/Harpie that can't be destroyed by card effects, and a Wind Pegasus in graveyard for an interruption, or you get to basically have two free interruptions. And again, none of this wastes your normal summon, which is really cool. It's basically like a awesome one card extender that doesn't waste your normal summon. And on top of that, like let's say your opponent ashes this, it's not a huge deal because you still have a full hand to play through, and you didn't waste any. You didn't waste your normal summon. You locked yourself into wind synchros, but like that's what you were going to go into anyway. It doesn't matter. Like you're going to go into the Cyber/Harpies anyway. Like that was your play. You're not restricting yourself. But that is basically it. If you enjoyed this deck profile, if you enjoyed the explanations or anything like that, let me know. If there's something that you think I can fix, please let me know. Because you know, I love criticism. It's one of the benefits of being on YouTube, is that people can criticize the things that you put up, and sometimes they disagree with you, and that's completely fine. But thank you very much for watching, guys.